Hello, welcome to the One Life Church devotional series. We cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Today we look at 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and we finish up 2 Chronicles. Now in 2 Corinthians 10, Paul makes 3 statements. Essentially, he says, those of you who are saying that my letters are harsh and I'm going to be much gentler when I arrive. He says, no, actually what I say is who I am, and we're going to deal with these issues when I arrive. In addition, he says, the reason why I'm wanting to see the changes and transformation in you is I'm wanting to see influence in you, and we're going to reach the world beyond you. And he says, now, this is the essence of this chapter. The struggles you're struggling with are struggles in your mind, and he calls them strongholds. Now, the picture stronghold is borrowed from an Old Testament analogy. I'm standing up here, as you can see, on a very tall tower. We're right up into the sky, and this is like if I had to get into trouble here on this property of ours, this is where I would probably run, because it's up into the sky, it's easily defendable. And so they had their cities like that. In the middle of the city, they had a stronghold where when the wall is breached, you run into that stronghold. You hide there, you throw rocks and oil and stuff over the edge of the balcony onto your attackers. And so he's using this analogy like this, saying that when Jesus breaks the wall of your life and he comes flooding into your heart, it's possible that you erect a stronghold, a fortified way of thinking, this is how he describes it here, that sets itself up against God. Listen to what verse 4 says. And the weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. Now, what's that stronghold? We demolish arguments and pretensions that set themselves up against the knowledge of God, and we make them captive to Christ. So in other words, he's saying a stronghold is an argument. It's a fortified way of thinking. It's a fortress in your thought life that sets itself up against God. So Jesus can crowd into your life. He can come in. He can change you. He can set you on a course for all eternity. But you can hold a stronghold, a way of thinking. Maybe in your finance or your sexuality or your relationships. Say, God, you can come into my whole life, but you can't come here. That's the stronghold. Now, Paul says we have weapons to demolish those. You guys, he's basically saying in Corinth, are going through issues. You've got problems. And this is what you need to do. That thought life, you've got to allow Christ into your thought life. And the way you do that is through repentance and confession. That's why I'm speaking to you. That's why I'm so harsh. I'm saying bring the light of Jesus and let those thoughts come captive under Christ, and the strongholds are demolished. Now, we end the Book of Chronicles today. And essentially, what we see is a character study of a couple of bad kings, which results in the Babylonian invasion. They, ransack the temple, pull down the walls, take the kings and the people off into slavery, into Babylon. Now, at the very end, we know after the 70 years in captivity, this is what the final verse says. This is what King Cyrus of Persia says. God raised up a king in Persia who understood that his job was to send the people back to Jerusalem. The Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he's appointed me to build a temple for him in Jerusalem and Judah. Any of his people among you may go up. That's how the Jewish Bible ends. 2 Corinthians is the very last passage in the Jewish Bible. The books of the Jewish Bible are ordered differently to ours, and this is the last one. So basically, the writer knows that Nehemiah brought the people back. Ezra brought the people back. They rebuilt the temple. They built, the walls around it. And so he knows that once he's written this. And so he's looking for another restoration. He's looking for another rebuilding of the temple. He's looking for another king. Who's he talking about? The Messiah. The Jewish Bible ends with an incomplete sentence. It's like looking into the future. It's describing the past, but looking into the future. A king is coming. The king referred to here is Jesus. That's the one they're anticipating, the Messiah. And so we know that all this nonsense caused slavery. And there was a return to a physical Jerusalem with a physical temple. But that's not the one that they had in mind. That's not the one that fulfills all the prophecies over the Jews. They were waiting for a Messiah. And that is what Jesus came to fulfill.